And in keeping with our special bumper tonight, we keep an eye on the flood situation in the country. Good evening and a very warm welcome to the Daily Report right here on TV47, the home of untold stories. My name is George Maringa. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Catherine Simaloy. Now, on the current news that we're having tonight regarding the death toll, we speak to the gentleman behind, or rather at the governing level of the Kenya Meteorological Department. That is the director of the Kenya Meteorological Department, Dr. David Gikungu, to be able to analyze and be able to understand a few issues, especially regarding the heavy downpour we've seen and we've experienced as a country. What do the, millimeters mean? What does this rainfall portend? For how long are we going to have these rains? And in fact, I've seen a question here: where is this rain coming from? Is this an effect of climate change? Keep your feedback and your questions coming at TV47 on TV47 News on X, formerly Twitter. I'm at George Maringa _ use the hashtag Daily Report. That extensive conversation with Dr. David Gikungu coming your way in a short while. But first, the highlights. Tonight, death toll from the Mai Mahiu Dam tragedy, as well as last evening's Tana River boat accident, continues to rise, with the president set to chair another crisis meeting tomorrow to address the worsening scenario. The death toll for the IED explosion in Elwak rises as security agencies work to trace the perpetrators of the heinous act. And many parts of Kenya still marooned as the flooding continues following the relentless downpour. We thank you for choosing TV47 to inform you. We are streaming on our website as well as our YouTube channel. We also welcome our viewers watching us on terrestrial platforms. Engage us. Our WhatsApp number, as always, is 07. Let me just get it for you. The WhatsApp number is 0793267279. Our SMS line 22047. Start with your name, where you're watching us from, followed by your question, feedback, or comment regarding the program. We thank you for joining us. Catherine Simaloy is on sign language interpretation. I am George Maringa. 2 bodies have been retrieved in a flooded area at Konapunda along Garissa-Madogo Road, where a boat carrying at least 50 people capsized last evening. The bodies are part of the 23 people missing, as rescue teams from the Kenya Red Cross, Garissa and Tana River counties are already at the tragedy site conducting the search, as Chichi Josephine now tells us.
2 bodies were recovered on Monday after a boat capsized while crossing a flooded area from Madogo to Garissa town. The timing of the incident making it hard for the rescue team to operate, since it was getting dark and only managed to rescue 22 people. According to survivors and eyewitnesses, the boat was overloaded with at least 50 people.
The boat sasa ilikuwa 20, watu wamekuwa 55. Sasa wakati sasa tumeenda safari, tukaanza safari. Alafu ile shida ilikuwa pale. Sasa boat ilishinda kutembea, ndio sasa ikaanguka kwa maji. Sasa out of that 55 people, we struggled. I can't say anyone has rescued us. We rescued ourselves.
Ile boat kitu ambayo imefanya imezama ni overloading. Hakuna kitu kingine, ni overloading.
However, 20 people are still missing as Kenya Red Cross, Garissa and Tana River counties continue with the search.
Sasa kulikuwa na watu wengine ambao kwao haikuwa Garissa, lakini walijazana pale. Na haikuwa because there was no law and order there. Nobody was controlling them.
Elsewhere in Nyahururu, a 54-year-old man's body was recovered by police after he was swept away by torrential floods on Sunday when the Gadara River broke its banks due to heavy rainfall.
Kuna mzee mmoja wa hapa tu hapa kwetu kijiji. Hiyo maji alikuwa anataka kupita. Hiyo maji ikamchukua. Sasa hata alikuwa amefunikwa pale na hiyo hiyo majani ya mto ilikuwa imemfunika pale. Sasa ndio ameonekana pale na sasa hata tujui ni wangapi.
It is reported that James Njora Kahiga was on his way home after the rains had stopped, but he was washed away while crossing the flooded bridge.
Sisi tunastuka sana, mambo hata tujaiona. Maji zinafunga daraja, zinapitia kwa watu. Kuna mtu sahi mzee amebebwa na maji. Yaani hata tunashindwa venye hii kitu inakaa.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Thank you, Chichi, for that. The President has announced a special cabinet meeting tomorrow, Tuesday morning, to discuss the flood situation and additional measures to make sure affected citizens are looked after. Let's have a listen at his message to the nation on this.
We are prepared for the situation that we face. We already have food supplies in place. We already have support for those displaced in place. The floods that are ravaging our country, we have close to 10,000 people displaced in Nairobi. We have already a robust program led by none other than my deputy, who could not even attend this meeting because he is focused on making sure that we deal with those who are affected. We have mudslides that are affecting Kenya. In fact, there is an ongoing exercise, as I talk to you, by the whole of government to make sure that those affected by the mudslides are taken care of. And tomorrow morning, we are having a cabinet meeting to be able to discuss on additional measures that my government is going to take to make sure that citizens who are victims of climate change, who today are suffering floods, they are suffering mudslides, are looked after. It is a realization that while we had a drought a year ago, today we have floods. A year ago, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique were having floods. Today, they are having drought. That is the reality, that is the new normal, as I said, of our situation, and we have to continuously work at it.
Excuse me.
We have already established a 24-hour disaster center. We are monitoring the situation. Our take and that from experts show that these rains will taper and that we will see a lesser intensity of rain. But that is not to say that we are less prepared or we are letting down our guard. We will continuously be monitoring the situation so that we can take care of any emergencies. Already, we have sent out messages to citizens who live in precarious situations, and we are using our provincial administration to even move citizens away from those areas, even if they don't want to move, because we want to look out for their.
Of course, remember, we will be speaking to the director of the Kenya Meteorological Department tonight, that is Dr. David Gikungo, on these and other issues. And still staying with the torrents of water, where over 70 people have been confirmed dead tonight after a man-made dam along the Nairobi-Naivasha Railway burst and spilled its waters in Mai Mahiu town, Nakuru County. The terrifying incident also saw dozens of others injured by the floods. Our reporter Willie Dennis Njiru with this report from the scene.
4 a.m. Monday morning, an hour after the tragedy, we headed to the scene to assess the situation. We were met by catastrophic scenes. Half of the village of Kamushira was swept away by severe flash floods. Bewilderment, stress and confusion, leaving many with their mouths open for what has not been witnessed here ever before.
Sasa maji inatoka pale Kijabi hadi Kijabi. Sasa maji inateremka kwa wingi sana. Sasa inakuja na fumua karibu kwa Mkolea. Hiyo manyumba yote hapo kama nyumba 30 hivi imeenda. Na tujua wenye nyumba hawako wapi. Kwa sababu hatuoni watu, no nyumba hakuna. hata floor.
The floods caused the death of 71 people, more than 100 injured, extensively damage to property, not to mention serious disruption to transportation for more than 7 hours.
Kaenda tukatokelezea pale, nilienda nikatokelezea, nikasimama juu na watoto nao walikuwa nyuma.
Kuna mtu aliniokoa, mimi ndio nilijiokoa, nikatoka nikapanda kwa mti. Ndio nikatoka nikaona wenye walikuwa hapo, nikaenda kuita watu na huko. Mimi asubuhi nimepata missed call mingi. Kwenda nyumbani napata tu ni mawe tupu, hakuna kitu. Sasa wenye nimeona tu nimebakisha wawili au wengine sijui kwenye.
Survivors narrating their ordeal are still anxious for the whereabouts of their loved ones.
Saa nikizima stima maji kakuja saa ikiwa mingi. Mimi nikaenda nikajaribu kujishikilia nikashindwa, nikapelekwa hadi huko kwa ile mansion iko huko mwisho. Babangu akajishikilia kwa mti ulikuwa hapa, brother yangu akabebwa na maji, haonekani hadi saa.
Transport Minister Kipchumba Murkomen asking Kenyans not to put their lives in danger, especially in crossing roads, bridges and rivers, citing heavy loss of lives.
At the moment, don't underestimate anything. Even a normal road that you have used many times, it would have killed.
So we also appeal to the families, if they have any missing persons, to please come up here at the Red Cross desk and report that, so that we are also able to know what to do where.
At the moment, recovery operations are still going on, and it is believed that the number of casualties and deaths may increase. With humanitarian crisis already wanting to those affected families, the locals here ask, is it until when they are going to be experiencing such calamities in the devastating degree as it has happened here? Reporting for TV47 from Mai Mahiu, Naivasha in Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiro.
Thank you, Willie Dennis, for that. The aftermath of the flash floods that ravaged Bishop Kamushira village in Mai Mahiu in Naivasha, Nakuru leaves a trail of the full extent of the wrath of Mother Nature. Survivors of the Sunday incident telling the harrowing experience of how they escaped death in the cold hours of Monday morning. Moige William pitched tent in the area and filed the following report.
This is what is left after raging waters from the hills of Kijabe in Kembu County swept everything on their way downhill, flattening the village of Bishop Kamushira at the heart of Mai Mahiu in Nakuru County. Rose Maina, one of the survivors of the 3 a.m. Monday ordeal, sharing how together with her granddaughter are still alive.
Nikasikia mtetemeko. Sasa vile sikia mtetemeko nikaamuka. Kuamuka nikasikia duru. Sasa nikatoka bedroom, nikakuja sitting room. Kuchungulia kwa dirisha, nikaona maji iko juu ya dirisha. Afunikwa nikashindwa kupiga duru. Sasa kwa bahati mzuri, kichwa ikaruka juu. Nikashukua mtoto, nikamrusha juu.
The 60-year-old business lady, although wondering where she will spend her night, expresses her gratitude to the people who saved her. Her immediate neighbors are no more.
Yule washindi kabisa alikuwa na familia yake yote mzima. Na saa hii ni watatu wamepatikana na wako hospitali. Hawa wengine bado hatujajua wako wapi. Tena mwenye hii nyumba naye kijana yake moja hatujamuona tangu saa hii.
Mercy Wanjiko will remember the events of the 29th day of April for long, stating that her impromptu visits to her mother's place almost brought an end to her life.
Hiyo matope ilikuja, ilifunga mlango. Tulikuwa mimi na mamangu kwa nyumba. Nikatry atoke kwa mabati, remain huko ndani. So kuna jamaa mmoja alikuja juu matope ilikuwa imefunga mlango, wao ndo walitoa afu then wakatutoa tukatoka.
Few meters away from Maina and Wanjiko's home, rescue operations are underway. Peter Mathioya, among the volunteers undertaking the operation, could not hold back his tears, narrating the horrific turn of events as more bodies are recovered from the debris.
Tumejaribu kubeba watu, mili mingi imechukuliwa na watoto. Usiku watu ungeweza kubeba watu juu kulikuwa na mvua, wengine walikuwa napita tukiwaona, but accidentally hatungeweza kuwabeba. But the situation is bad.
The tale of the survivor is just but a tip of the iceberg of the horror they experienced on Sunday night. But what lies here is fear of more bodies covered in these debris. Moige William, TV47, Naivasha in Nakuru County.
Thank you, Mwege William, and the gallant team, including, of course, gentlemen like George and the rest who braved the torrents of water and the harsh weather to bring us that report. Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki has ordered immediate inspection of all public and private dams and water reservoirs within 24 hours, issuing a new directive today. Kindiki said the inspections must commence by 2 p.m, whereby the county security and intelligence committees are expected to give recommendations on areas where compulsory evacuation and temporary resettlements are to be effected. The Interior CS also directed the county security officials to arrest any individuals who will be transporting passengers across flooded rivers using unsafe canoes or boats, and the arrest of Kenyans who forced their way through flooded bridges, charging them with attempted suicide. Kindiki stated that the government is coordinating all relevant agencies to prevent further loss of lives and property and to support all those who have been affected by the ongoing torrential rains. Remember, tonight we speak to the Director of the Kenya Meteorological Department, that is Dr. David Gikungu, regarding the heavy torrents and what to expect in the coming days. Now, while the effects of heavy rains in the country is being increasingly witnessed, including disaster and loss of property, one family in Kiganja village, Gatuge ward in the Mathioya constituency died today early morning after their house was smashed due to a landslide caused by heavy rain. Our very own Isaac Famba has prepared the following report.
Grief was the order of the day here in this village in Murang'a as locals woke up to the tragedy of the family losing 6 members after their house was destroyed by a landslide. Isaac Muraguri is a neighbor of the tragedy-affected family. He narrates the sequence of the events after he received the news of the landslide.
Kijana moja wa familia akaniambia wazazi wake wameangukiwa na mchanga na miti, niende niwasaidie. Na bila shaka nikaenda na nikawasaidia, tukakuta vijana wengi, tukawaokoa penye walikuwa wamelaliwa na miti na matope. Tukawachukua tukawapeleka kwa hospitali. Kwa bahati mbaya wakaaga kabla tufike kwa hospitali.
It is a situation that has caused some of the leaders in the area, including Gitugi Ward MCA Edwin Mwangi, to ask the locals in dangerous areas to move to safer grounds to avoid more disaster in the area.
Ningetaka kuwahimiza watu wa Gitugi, hasa wale katika eneo hili, tafadhali tuhame. Na nilikuwa nimesema katika 1 kilomita moja kutoka pande hii, ile barabara iko pande ya chini, hawa watu wote watoke kao hiki waelekee pale Mutito Polytechnic, ambapo kuna darasa, kuna classes ambao katumia ili waishi huko.
It is a statement that has been echoed by Kenya Red Cross representative Immaculate Iteba, who have revealed that the affected people will camp at Mutito Polytechnic until normal condition returns.
Na himiza wanakijiji ikiwa wanaweza kuhama, maana ukiangalia jinsi ambavyo imefanyika hapa iko katika hatari sana. So kama tunaweza kuhama tuelekee katika ile Polytechnic ambayo MP wetu ametuelekeza tuende pale. Sisi kama Red Cross tutajitahidi ilivyo tuweze tukawasaidia.
Isaac Famba, TV47. Grief was the order of the day here in this village in Murang'a as locals woke up to
And just to remind you of our guest tonight, Dr. David Gikungu, Director, Kenya Meteorological Department, to be able to just unpack what is currently happening in the country. And of course, looking at the numbers in terms of what to expect with the millimeters. What do they mean, when they give us the forecast and all that surrounds the current torrents of water? We shall be having that comprehensive discussion in just a short while. The number of people killed in the explosion of a suspected improvised explosive device in Elwak, Mandera County, has increased to 13 from the original 6 after 6 others died while receiving treatment in hospital. The Mandera County Police Commander blames the attack on members of the Al-Shabaab terror group. An investigation has been initiated into the incident that happened 100 meters from the Elwak police station.
Leo asubuhi kulikuwa ni incident imefanyika hapa town Elwak. Kulikuwa na watu wanakuja kusanyika kuangalia kazi, kungoja kazi. Sasa katika ile harakati ya asubuhi tumesikia mlipuko kubwa. Kapiga watu, wataka kufa, wengine akaumia. Watu wengi sana wameumia. Watu karibu 15 katika hospitali hali maarufu. Na wengine 5 wamekufa. So hali ya usalama imekuwa ni mbaya sana upande huu wa Northeastern. Na tunaomba serikali tusaidie sana iangalie upande wa usalama.
Nilikuja town nikikuja kutafuta riziki. Nilisimama tu mahali nilisimama, kaanza kuongea na wenzangu. Sasa ndio niliona watu wameanza kuamka mahali walikuwa, kuangalia ni moshi na nikasikia mlipuko mkubwa. Kuangalia mahali walikuwa wameketi, sasa ndio nimeona watu kama waina wamelazwa chini. Hata mimi nikaamua kutoroka. Kwa sababu sikuwa na otherwise.
Now, amidst heavy rains causing chaos across Kenya, Nairobi's CBD became a focal point of confusion on Monday morning. The Education Ministry's late-night decision to postpone school reopening dates left parents, students and the transport sector scrambling, highlighting the challenges posed by the ongoing weather conditions.
Nairobi's central business district was abuzz with confusion on Monday morning following a late-night announcement by the Education Ministry to delay the reopening of schools due to heavy rains causing flooding across the country. Parents found themselves blindsided by the directive as many had already sent their children back to school for the second term. Some only learned of the news when their children were sent back home.
Unaamka asubuhi, kuna watu walitayarisha watoto jana. So unaamka asubuhi na watoto hawaendi, wala walikuwa naenda nje ya Nairobi, wamefanya aje?
Inastopisha tu, hata sisi hatuna habari watoto hawaendi ama nini. Tena unashtuka tu watoto wamesharudi, na maybe umeenda kwa mpango zako za shughuli zako, mtoto amesharudishwa kwa nyumba, wao huko pale. Unaona lunch, wewe unatarajia mtoto atakula lunch shule, umeondoka yuko kwa nyumba. Sasa unaona saa hii mimi sijafika hata kwa nyumba bado saa hii, na mtoto ameshatolewa, amenipigia kwa nyumba.
Amidst the frustration, parents expressed concerns about financial losses, with the transport sector refusing refunds for pre-booked bus fares despite the sudden change in plans.
Kuna watoto walilipiwa gari waende shule, walifanya booking online. Hii hasara nani atalipa?
Unajua pesa ikiingia hairudingi, so kama wengi walikuja, okay, kuna wa booking na kuna wenye walikuja kama leo. So kama wanafunzi wote wenye walibook tuliwekewa nafasi mpaka next time.
In a spot check by TV47, the transport industry also reported losses, especially for companies that had to return empty vehicles to their depots.
Tulipata wateja wenye tulitoa tunatarajia. Sasa leo tukukaa tu hapa, tunakaa hapa. Sasa zile hao watu wanapeana orders mpaka waangalie mwananchi ya kawaida.
Hapa kanto tunaona venye magari zimelala. Hakuna biashara leo asubuhi, tuko tu hivi dormant.
In the midnight statement signed by Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu, the government announced the postponement of the reopening date from Monday, April 29 to Monday, May 6. This decision followed last week's directive for all basic education institutions to submit reports on their preparedness to handle the impact of the heavy rains. After assessing reports from schools nationwide, the ministry concluded that the safety of students and staff could not be guaranteed amidst the ongoing adverse weather conditions.
While the move by the government to postpone schools' reopening dates for students aims to prioritize their safety, this last-minute move has enlisted concerns as families will now be forced to dig deeper into their pockets to rearrange their plans and to readjust financially. Ann Odida, TV47.
Thank you, Ann Odida, for that report, which leads us to a short break. When we come back, we have more on the other side, including that conversation with Dr. David Gekungu, the Director of Kenya Meteorological Department. Keep your feedback coming. What questions do you have regarding the ongoing rains? And, are you aware of the forecast? And do you check to just find out what is being given as the forecast by the Met Department? Do stay with us. We're back in a few minutes.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus niko niwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Junior secondary school intern teachers in several counties today have protested against the government for not honoring the court order regarding their terms of employment. And as Violet Auma now reports, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, GOtv, have threatened to call for industrial action if their demands are not met.
This was the situation in different counties across the country today. The junior secondary school intern teachers took to the streets demanding that the government, through the Ministry of Education, honors the court order in regards to their employment terms.
We are here to demand that the government of Kenya allocate enough money to TSC so that it can employ on permanent terms all intern teachers in Kenya.
Kotini ilisema kwamba internship ya walimu waliohitimu walioandikishwa na TSC ni kinyume cha sheria.
In Kakamega County, the teachers, led by the local Secretary General of GOtv, Harrison Utota, says the JSA's intern teachers are qualified and should be confirmed as such.
They must confirm us and compensate us for the work that you have done. We are tired of being used as tools of practices. We are not student teachers, we are teachers.
Yes. 3 teachers in a school of more than 150 JSS students, forced to work, or we are supposed to teach all the subjects, those that we did not specialize in. And here, TSC is forcing us to work under conditions of 17,000.
These teachers must be confirmed with immediate effect. And they are rares. They have worked for this country for the full 1 year. Yes. Must be paid immediately. Failure to this, we are announcing an industrial action that will paralyze all the JSS learning institutions in this country. That is our position as a union.
A similar situation was witnessed in Trans Nzoia, Busia, Bungoma, Vihiga, Bomet, and Taita Taveta counties, where their clerical call to Teacher Service Commission, TSC, to carry out its mandate as stipulated by law.
We shall endlessly engage in demonstrations countrywide until TSC hears our legal and chooses to honor the court ruling.
Tuahidi ya kwamba tukimaliza mwaka mmoja tutaweza kuingia katika PNP, lakini tunaona ya kwamba baada ya kutupa mkate mmeweza kutupea mawe.
We are saying you withdraw the appeal that you have launched at the Court of Appeal. Yes. We are saying abide and honor the Employment and Labor Relations Court ruling. This is a fight for the just and fair nation.
The teachers have vowed to paralyze activities in all JSS learning institutions across the country when the schools reopens next week until the government, through the Ministry of Education, honors the court's decision on April 17th this year.
What is happening at the moment, our members of parliament are just dishing out employment letters everywhere. That is wrong. You know, they cannot go and get those letters if the TSC management will not give them.
Na sisi tunataka tuwakumbusha kwamba hawa walimu hawako tayari kurudi kazini kama hiyo term zao zitakuwa zimebaki vile zilivyo.
Reporting for TV47, I'm Violet Auma.
Thank you, Violet, for that. African leaders are calling on first world countries and developed countries to provide low interest rates on loans provided by the World Bank to developing countries to enable them to achieve development projects and tackle climate change. Speaking during the Africa Heads of State Summit that was held at the KICC, a summit that was focusing on international development, President Dr. William Ruto said developed countries should contribute at least 120 billion Kenya shillings to Africa's development plans. He added that Africa is burdened by debt burdens that threaten to cripple the economy, as well as famines and floods that strike majority of the countries in Africa. President Ruto called on developing nations to take urgent action to save Africa. Donors will announce their donations in December at the LETA conference.
J'assois un nombre de plus en plus croissant de réfugiés. Le 9 et 10 octobre 2024.
And grow and become a teenager. The teenager must grow.
President Yoweri Museveni, may I call upon...
Permettez-moi à l'Amputo, président de la République du Kenya, et au
while creating.
Now, amidst the hustle and bustle of Nairobi's central business district, where the streets are filled with disappointed students stranded due to the unexpected postponement of school reopening dates, a ray of sunshine emerged. Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja was making his way to various bus stops across the city where groups of students stood, their faces etched with disappointment. The Nairobi boss stepped up as a mood lifter for the day as he reimbursed the students' bus fares to their destinations back home.
Mutasikia wakisema